Hey, good afternoon, guys. KB5 MIQ Big Boy. Got a, like the big YouTubers now, I got a wireless mic now. We'll see how this works out. Hey, come here, ham radio cat. Come here. Come here. Everybody's wanting to see you and ask about you. Here's old ham radio cat. She ain't, still ain't too fond of this new shack, I don't think. Yeah, thumbtack in the floor. Okay, yes. Still got a lot going on around here. Trying to get ready for an estate sale at my dad's place and been busy with that. Plan to put my Buckmaster back up tomorrow. My poles seem to be set up good. Ground's kind of dried out, so hopefully I'll have that back up and on air again tomorrow. But I got a couple of QSL cards I want to share with y'all. This is my Russia card. R5AJ for a voice 10-meter contact. Worked Valerie back in fall of last year. And I got my glasses on where I can see the date. Let's see. Okay. 22 October 2024. One thing with Valerie, he posts a YouTube channel with all his QSOs, so you might hear yourself he'd talk to him on that. And I had a listener, K3KTB, Peter, sent me a card. He liked my channel. Peter, I appreciate it. I'll get you a card in the mail, a couple of stickers in there with it. Buddy, hope to work you soon. Guys, y'all know I love QSL cards, so send them, work them, you send them out on your contacts. I think they're a great way to promote ham radio. All right, got a little subject tonight I've talked on before, but I still see people asking questions about it, so we're going to talk on it again. Let me read you the post. I've been licensed a while, but never been on the air much. I recently upgraded and am now looking to move into HF. I'm looking at various radios and price ranges. There's a lot to choose from. I'm probably going to be going with an entry-level model, such as the 991 or the ICOM 7300. Well, what exactly is the difference between entry and 4 to 5 grand or higher? Pouring through the specs doesn't really tell me a lot of terms of real-world differences. Is it noise floor, sensitivity, selectivity, all these differences you would actually notice, or is it bells and whistles I'd never really used? Anyway, that was a good question. And I didn't see any snarky answers on it. Really didn't. A lot of good advice there for him. I'm going to talk to you, give you my take on that. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but we'll go a little bit more depth with it tonight. Entry level is kind of still not a real good term. I don't like to use, especially I hate the term starter radio. I like to call them maybe less featured radios or more featured radios. And this gets back to where it all depends on your budget, how far you're willing to get into this hobby, and what you're actually trying to get out of the hobby. My rule of thumb is this: has always been run on the cheapest station you can run. That's the way my rule of thumb has been. Made a ton of contacts like that. If you really want to be a serious DXer or contester, you may look at some of those other rigs for some more features on them. But think about it like this. And I've said this before. Everybody's going to tell you that the best radio you can buy is whatever they got in front of them. Right now, I got all of the big three represented on my bench. They're all older radios, but I got an ICOM, Yaesu, and a Kenwood. They all got good points, and they've all got some points maybe not so good. Far as sensitivity on receive, a lot of people will tell you that the ICOM sound better. This has a better sound. This one does this better. This is what I've found out. It all depends on your particular hearing perception at the time. We'll give you a couple of good examples of that. Jeff and myself are both, I'm 66, Jeff's about 63 now. He's a few years younger than me. both of us hear a radio. As long as we're hearing the signal, we don't hear anything special. We just hear the radio. It's like when I had that trouble with that heel mic that Cody pointed out that Jeff and I wasn't picking up on. There's a real subtle difference in the microphone. Tim picked up on it. Cody's younger, an aspiring musician. Tim is about the same age as me and Jeff. He's between me and Jeff. He's also a musician and been a musician a long time, but I call it got that musician ear that he can hear things different. He's got a brand new 991 he bought when he got his ticket. He's having trouble with it. He borrowed a 7200, I believe, Icom from Kent. He said that's a way better sounding radio to him. And I think a lot of it's that musician ear. To me, it probably wouldn't sound any different than my Yaesu, just because my ears are different. As far as features go, filtering and all of that helps. If you're wanting to really filter out and do some really fine signal tracing. Onboard tuners, I'm pro and con on them. Most of your onboard tuners won't tune up some of the really bad antennas that are out. They've got a kind of a limit on how much they'll tune. I've only been using a tuner a few years anyway. I've always just run resident antenna, so the whole tuner thing is kind of an option with me. It's not a make or break on me for a particular radio. This old 701 I started out with, very, very basic radio. Noise blanker, that's about it. And a RIT. It didn't have much more filtering or any other features on it. Passband tuning, I think, but that's it. Worked great. Made a ton of contacts with it. But again, you're not talking to somebody who's got that musician ear. Now, I highly recommend you stay with a 100-watt rig. A lot of people suggested QRP rigs to me. I don't knock QRP rigs, especially if you're going to do a lot of POTA and you don't want to carry a bigger battery and you want longer battery life. There's nothing wrong with QRP rigs. But you can buy a standard 100-watt rig and turn it down to QRP levels, and it'll lower your battery drain, and you'll still be able to use a smaller battery as long as you only run it at 5 watts. And then you get it back in your shack, you got the option to go ahead and turn it back up to full power. One point I would like to make on that, if you're new to HF and you're not sure how much money you want to invest in this hobby, and you want this something to get your feet wet, look for an Elmer to help you find a good used 20-year-old solid state HF rig. Even a 30-year-old rig that's functional is working. Call Richard at MTC. Tell him what you're looking for. You want a lower priced HF rig that's working. If he's got one that he'll do a 30-day warranty on, he'll fix you up on it. That way, you can see how far you want to actually get into this hobby in HF. To me, talking HF single sideband is the life of the hobby. It really is. But older rigs won't have a sound card for you to run like FT8 digital mode. You'd have to get a add-on accessory for that. But if you're just looking to get into the voice side of HF and you're not familiar with HF and you want to be cautious on your money, I highly recommend just look for a good used solid state rig, any of the big three, Kenwood, ICOM, or Yaesu, any of them, and start out there. You can always sell it down the road if you want to buy a fancier rig, or you can always keep it for a backup rig. It doesn't hurt to have backup radios. All of us has been in this hobby any length of time, usually got multiple backup radios. So just look at what you're wanting to do. Look at the antenna situation you're going to be in and how you're wanting to operate. Just be wary of people that tell you things like, if you got to buy this 7300 if you want to be a real ham, or you got to buy this. If you don't buy this, you're wasting your money. Don't listen to that. It's your money. Look around, make the best investment you can for yourself. The Cowtown Ham Fest back in January would have been a perfect ham fest for anybody wanting to buy a 20, 30-year-old rig. I've never saw as many solid state 20, late 80s, early 90s rigs at one location in my life. Richard has got a ton of used gear coming up on his list. In fact, his last email out said something to watch the used gear site because he's got a bunch of used gear coming up there. So it doesn't hurt to buy something used. And also, if you look around, you might find a more full featured radio used that's 20 years old that's still got a lot of life in it that you could use versus buying a less featured brand new radio. It all gets back down in this hobby as to what you're wanting to do with the hobby and how far you're wanting to get into it and the level of money you want to spend on the hobby. That's basically what it boils down to. Don't listen to people if you buy a radio and they say, oh, that's just a starter radio. I hate that term. The reason I hate that term, I've seen more people on social media. Hey, I just bought an 891 brand new. Well, that's just a starter radio. If you want to be a real ham, you got to buy this more expensive ICOM or whatever he named off was probably what he had sitting in front of him. Well, that's a arrogant, snarky remark. But what it does is you may tell a person that who's already leery about getting into this hobby for the amount of money, and you say, well, I just spent almost $700 on this radio and I got to buy another one. Heck with this. And they'll drop out. And I think the license losses that we saw in the tech ticket kind of proved that. So research what you want to do. eham.net's a good way to read reviews. Check with an Elmer in your area. Visit Hamfest. Talk to people selling rigs. And always call MTC and talk to Richard. Tell him what you're looking for. And he'll do his best to fix you up with radio. Guys, we're at 1829. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. Y'all remember Main Trading Company in Paris? Call up there and you heard about them here. Tell them you heard about them on Big Boy's channel. Guys, it's me and Old Ham Radio Cat. Enjoy doing this. I enjoy the interaction I get with all you guys, the comments, the emails, and sending me cards and stuff. Can't thank y'all enough. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy 73.